Welcome to CivilNet. We have a very special guest here in our studio from Denmark. Her name is Tatevik Revazian. Tatevik, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for letting me.
You are the project manager for what has now become a controversial genocide commemoration sculpture that is planned, hopefully still, to be erected in the center of Copenhagen in Denmark. Being a news organization, certainly we heard about the Turkish protest about the sculpture itself. But before we get to that point, why don't we talk about how the idea came about, whose idea was it, and who are the people that are involved in this endeavor?
It was actually a coincidence how this happened. In February, so not that long ago, the ambassador called me and said, well, a leading architect is visiting Copenhagen. Let's gather a lot of young people and see whether we can work together to do something for the commemoration event or the date. And then we gathered a lot of young people and we're discussing, so what do we want to get out of this? Do we want to protest? Do we want to stand out in the streets and scream? Mm-hmm. And we decided, no, that's not the way. This is something Armenians have done for 100 years now. It hasn't helped. So we wanted to take a more smart approach to it and educate people, because we realized that in Denmark, a lot of people don't even know this happened, although Denmark had a very important historical part in the genocide. So that's what we decided to educate people by doing the sculpture.
So there's about, we roughly estimate about 3,000 Armenians that live in Denmark.
Maybe a bit more. I don't have the latest numbers, but around that.
Approximately. Yeah. And most of them are Armenians who left the Republic of Armenia following independence. So it's a new community, perhaps not so mobilized as in traditional Armenian communities. You seem to be one of the more active elements there because you are also a birthright or a past birthright volunteer in Armenia. So you have very deep connections.
I definitely do.
Family connections, you have deep connections to Armenia. So these artists, Alan Sayer and Stefano Andriani, came up with the concept. These are very well-known artists. They teach, if I'm not mistaken, at Harvard University. So they actually sat down with a bunch of young Armenian men and women and came up with the idea, which is the sculpture that actually has made the front page of one of, Denmark's leading newspapers? Could we say
the leading newspaper.
The leading newspaper. So what is the idea? What is the concept of the sculpture itself? What is the message it's going to give?
Well, it's actually a global messenger, if you could say so. People from all around the world will be able to interact with the sculpture by through social media, sending messages to the sculpture. Of course, the idea is the commemoration at first place, but the whole point of the sculpture is just being able to commemorate any bad things going on in the world.
Sure, any kind of atrocity or massacre.
Exactly.
But explain to me, how does somebody sitting in Yerevan or New Jersey or, I don't know, Sydney, Australia, interact with the sculpture?
Through social media, through hashtags.
So I hashtag...
We're still working on that part.
Okay. So we'll the details we'll figure out later. But now, so when the idea came and it was designed, tell me about the backlash. Tell me about what the protest was by the Turkish embassy in Denmark.
Well, at first we're very surprised that it became a front page story, because for us it's a sculpture, it's educating, it's not a protest. But it was because the journalist from this newspaper that we're talking to reached out to the Turkish people to get both sides of the stories. Then they found out what a problem it created, and it became this front page story and every newspaper in Denmark has almost written about this.
And is this unprecedented? I mean, why, it's just a sculpture commemorating something that Denmark hasn't recognized, that you said yourself that the Danish people really don't even know what happened. Don't know anything about the Armenian Genocide. So why is it making such a big, why has it caused such a big reaction in Denmark, do you think?
I think we need to ask the Turks about that, actually. We're very surprised of the reactions, because Turks who were raised in Denmark also know freedom of speech, how important that is for Danish people. And as the politicians commenting on this case also said, that if they want to demonstrate against this, they're more than welcome to do so. it's a free country. Both sides can be shown.
Right. So for the Danes, it was more that there was an infringement on freedom of speech, on the freedom of the Armenian community to actually erect the statue, and it's not even erected yet, and it's a temporary thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 10 days.
It's for 10 days, and it has caused all this.
Yeah, well, they mentioned that it's because it's right in the heart of Copenhagen, and a lot of people pass by there. That was one of our main purposes, to have it in an area where a lot of people could pass by and interact with it. Usually people use that area to sit around and enjoy the sun and relax. And they incorporated the sculpture very well in how that space is usually used.
Right. Yeah, there's a large Turkish immigrant community. I was reading 9.8% of all immigrants living in Denmark are from Turkey, are Turkish background. It is the largest minority.
In Denmark, yes.
Okay. And so what do you think is going to happen? What are the next steps that you're taking as a community or the Armenian ambassador? What are you doing to ensure that this will go ahead?
Well,
do you have concerns that the city of Copenhagen might not allow?
No, not at all. Actually, all the politicians and all the Danish people are very supportive of our cause. We don't do much to defend ourselves because there is no need. We haven't made any mistakes. We're doing what we're allowed to do. It's our human right.
Okay, well, Tatevik, thank you so much. Thank you for being a very active voice for the Armenians in Denmark with all of your young friends. And we look forward to seeing this statue, which actually is called The Dream.
Yes.
And it's the Danish Remembrance Armenian Empathy Messenger. So thank you so much. Thank you for being our guest, and good luck. And we look forward to hearing from you when in May this is actually going to be on display.
Thanks a lot. We'll get back to you.
Okay, very good.
Great.
I'd like to remind our viewers that my guest from Copenhagen was Tatevik Revazian. Stay with CivilNet.